webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Can you hear me and see my screen? If you could just type yes in the questions. All right, excellent, thank you. All right, so apologies for the last few days. Some really bad internet connection here, but looks like it's all fixed. I haven't had any problems this morning, so it should be good to go. Okay, so let's get into it here. All right, so this is the Bookmap platform. It details webinar. I'm Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So what we're going to do in this webinar is we're going to go through some of the resources, get familiar with the bookmap.com website, how to subscribe, what we connect to, answer some of the basic questions. One of the basic questions is about the education. So Bookmap, when you subscribe to Bookmap, it comes with education. There's a 4-part educational course. You can access it at any time. And then there are advanced order flow webinars immediately following this one at 11 a.m. Eastern. Or what we do in that is we look at the order flow, and our analysis is based on the educational course. And then we start to anticipate future price movement based on our analysis and what we see. So trying to very objectively read the order flow, put the pieces together, and look for specific moves to start to form. So that's about the education. Let's jump over to bookmap.com. Okay, and we'll scroll down a little bit here. There's an intro video here, as you can see. A bit further down, just information about Bookmap. And then there's Bookmap for US equities. Okay, and I'll cover that in just a minute here. We'll continue on further. Okay, connectivity, I'll stop here. So what is Bookmap? We're a software trading platform that visualizes data in a very unique way. Okay, we're not a data provider. All right, so for futures and for US equities, you will need to provide the data. For digital currencies, we actually subsidize the connection for the GDAX exchange only. And that's the only one that we connect to. All right, now you'll see here that there's some other platforms listed in connectivity as well, like Ninja, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. We connect via the API of these 3 platforms. But we're a platform too. So you can connect directly, and it is the preferred method to connect directly to the data provider, like CQG, Rhythmic, Gain, IQ Feed, Transact, and Dev Experts. Dev Experts, more information is up here if you want to read about this. So we're offering now NASDAQ Total View as well as the CBOE Edge X. Okay, CTA UTP data is not quite available yet, but it's a consolidated feed for US equities. Okay, it's a great feed. You get full depth of market, and we can go over any of the equities that I have open if you want to take a look. So just let me know. All right. All right, so that's connectivity. Let's scroll down a little bit further. Here are the Bookmap subscription offerings. Okay, so you can subscribe yearly and you get a 20% discount, or you can subscribe monthly. Now you can see different versions for digital and global. Okay, the digital version, the free version here, it connects to the live market for the GDAX for one digital currency only. Okay, you can't record or replay, and you don't get the advanced education nor full support. Okay, the Digital Plus version, what you get with that is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into your GDAX account. You can record and replay your data, so it's great for learning about order flow as well as debriefing your trades. You get up to 20 digital currencies at once, and you also get the advanced education and full support. Okay, the global version here, this is what you need to connect to US equities and futures markets. Okay, and you will need to provide the data for those markets. All right, and then the Global Plus version, what you get is it's all inclusive of all the other ones here. Okay. In addition, you get the add-on indicators. Okay, so you can trade right from the Bookmap chart for futures and for U.S. equities. You get a large lot tracker. These are proprietary indicators that we put together, and they start to identify specific players in the order book, like our large lot tracker. Okay, and then there's some imbalance indicators, and then iceberg detector. So larger players using hidden orders, icebergs, we can start to visualize where they're getting filled. And then we have a correlation tracker as well. All right, so that's the website. Social media, you can follow us on Twitter at bookmap_pro. And then our YouTube page as well. All sorts of videos here. Just on the home page here, scroll down, you can see there's some some intro videos here. And then features and components videos, just going through the basic user interface of Bookmap and the different features. And then order flow video snippets. Would suggest to you to watch as many of these as you can. Very concise, short videos that go through the order flow that Bookmap visualizes. Okay, so this is the kind of content that we go through in the advanced order flow webinars every day, but we just go through it in a lot more detail. All right, that's that. And today being Friday, I promised that I would hand out the advanced order flow webinar link to you guys. So let me give you that. So I'll give you access to that today. Okay, so just for one day. There you go, it's in the chat. So you can click on that and subscribe or register, and then have access to the, see what we do in the advanced order flow webinars. Okay, all right. Just a moment here. Okay, so let's jump into Bookmap. We're going to look at the S&P E-mini. Unless you guys want to look at something else, just let me know. We had, actually some bearish news, but I mean, it's bullish for the market, as we can see here. With the non-farm was at 830 here. This is something that I want to show you guys. Just looking at the non-farm, look at how dark this area is over here. Okay, I'm going to get into and I'm going to define all the elements here on the chart. And there are only three. Okay, now let me strip off some of the add-on indicators. Like we have a point of control indicator, which is that blue line. We also have a VWAP indicator, which is great. That shows the historical VWAP plotted on the chart. All right, so looking at this chart, very, very simple data, very straightforward. It looks complex. It's actually quite simple. The number one element that we have on the chart is the historical best bid and offer. Right, and I'll explain why that's a benefit in just a minute. And then we have these volume spheres here, and those are transactions that took place on that historical best bid and offer. Okay, and then the last element on the chart is this heat map you can see here. And what it is liquidity. It's just recorded from the depth of market. Okay, so we take the, here's your DOM and Bookmap, and I'll go through this again in detail, but we take these numeric values in your DOM, we give it a graphical representation, and then we plot it onto the chart historically here. All right, so that's it. Those are the three elements, and it's very, very objective data. There's no lagging indicator. It's just the market. It's the current state of the market and the historical state. Where are they bidding? Where are they offering? What's going on in the auction? I mean, look at them up here at these areas here, like up at 45, okay, 26.45. I want to scroll vertically a little bit and always looking at the big numbers, 26.50 up here. Okay, I don't see a lot of liquidity up there right now, so it's kind of interesting. But we probably will see a lot of action if we get up there, and it is looking pretty good. Anyway, those are the three elements, and we'll go through some of the ways to read this here and give a little more definition to these elements. And I'll do that by showing you guys a candlestick chart. okay? Because we're all accustomed to this view, okay? This is a 5-minute candlestick chart, okay? It's open, high, low, and close of a 5-minute period. And that's the problem with it. I mean, it's opaque within that 5-minute period. We don't know. We don't know what happened here. There's going to be all sorts of microstructural elements. There's going to be volume that traded there, and we have no clue to it. And then the last element, the historical best bid and off, or the historical book, we have no clue where they're bidding and offering, none whatsoever. And that's really a problem here. We're making really important financial decisions based on very, very limited data here. So let me go through the first element of just showing the best bid and offer helps quite a bit because now we can open up this candlestick and we can see precisely how this started to unfold here. Okay, from this 5-minute period, I'll zoom out just a hair. So we have a 5-minute period with each vertical dotted line. From here to here, well, this was the price action, okay? And it went up, went sideways for a bit. It broke this little microstructure and it accepted up above here and closed up there, okay? So already I can understand we're trending up and we're accepting up, okay? You can't see that in the candlestick chart. It's just not there. And what do I mean by microstructure? Well, let's use the rectangle here. This is a microstructure. It consolidated, price went sideways for a bit, and then this right here is a book sweep. Okay, this move to a new price level. This is the new valuation of this product. Okay, someone thought it was worth more. They swept the book. Okay, and then it kind of went sideways for a bit. Okay, until up here, and it broke this structure as well. And then, it wasn't quite as bullish after that. Maybe the price is a little too high, but we can still see the structure here. We kind of dip down back into the previous structure here. Anyway, these structures and the acceptance, rejection, and the transactions, along with that order book, we want to know. It's going to give us a lot of insight to what's going on. So just the historical best bid and offer is already giving us a lot of insight of what happened, really, truly what happened with price. It's not some sort of candlestick pattern that's kind of a little bit of like voodoo in a sense. Alexander, you'd like to get my workspace? Sure, you can just email me at bruce@bookmap.com. All right. Yeah, no problem. All right, so that's the first element. Now the second element is the volume that traded. Let's take a look at that. Okay, and we have it very precisely recorded here. What traded? Okay, you see these green and red dots. So let me zoom into an area, and I want to show you. Oops, I'm sorry. Just let's zoom back out, and then zoom in. Let's zoom into this area here, and I'll show you precisely what's going on here. This is that second element on the chart. Okay, the first one is this, the red line here, the best ask, the best bid is the green line. Now, the volume dots, we see the transactions that took place on the best bid and offer. Okay, so a green dot is an aggressive market buy order across the spread, and they took liquidity off of the best offer. Okay, and a red dot is aggressive market sell. Now, you can see the size and the color here gives you understanding of what traded there. Now we can use the data tip tool and get the precise data here. So you can see the date, the time, what was on the bid here, and then the volume here was for 50 or 51. Right? But let's zoom in a little bit closer, and you're gonna see how we record this data. Okay? Because as we zoom in, we're gonna start to pull apart every single transaction here. This is really what occurred. Let's bring down that dot size a bit. Okay, and we can see now a little bit of in this case, some of the algorithmic activity as well. Look how this algorithm started selling in a burst of 3, pause, another burst of 3, pause, another burst of 3, and another pause, and then a burst of 3. Okay, so now we have we've recorded everything. We're down at microsecond level. And we get very, very precise data here. And you can hover over these dots and it tells me that precise time and the volume here. This is for volume of 3. So this smaller one's going to be a volume of 1. Okay. So just want to let you know that's the environment that we came from, is the HFT environment. We're making it available to you so that you can really understand. None of this data is aggregated whatsoever. Okay, it's all there. Every single market transaction or move in the order book is all recorded. Now, as I zoom back out, though, we turn that into a bigger dot. Okay, so that big flurry of activity and trading, it actually constitutes a volume of 40. So you can just see that visually we've aggregated it into a bigger dot, and that's it. Okay, and it's the same thing. You'll see some of these pie displays like these two here. There's both buying and selling in there. It happens so quickly. We just give you the overall shape of that volume. Like this one here, is majority of it is buying, as you can see. All right, so those are those two elements on the chart. Now that third element is the heat map. Okay, and let's take off the candlestick here, and let me show you the heat map. Okay, and bring down the dot size. All right. Okay, so now the heat map is that third element, and let me explain here. So we'll go to the current market, and everything to the right of this vertical white line is the current market. Okay, here's your current best bid and offer, and then you see this heat map. All the heat map is a graphical representation of the liquidity in the order book. So the COB column, it stands for current order book. Okay, so look at the high liquidity here, over 1,000 contracts. That area is painted orange. Okay, lesser area, 675 is up here, yellow. Okay, and then this blue area here, 516 or 17. So the scale is up here from orange to yellow to white to blue is the range of liquidity, and then black would be very low liquidity compared to the other areas. Okay, so when these numeric values change, and they're changing all the time, the heat map is going to change to reflect that. Okay, now we take that data, then record it and plot it onto the chart. So now you can see the striations here in this at this level at 44.25. Well, this is the adding and pulling of liquidity. So they started to add liquidity in here because it got brighter, and they started to pull, it got darker, and now price is coming down and they're pulling. Okay, so now instead of looking at the dome and trying to read all these numeric values, we have the recording. We know what occurred here, and we have the current market as well. So these guys down here at 44.25, they do not have the intent to trade. Okay, they're pulling, they're adding lower. Okay, and look at a skew in the book here at 45 with high liquidity, and now they're starting to show a little more interest at 43. Okay, and the longer term liquidity has been down here at this 41.75. All right, so now we can start to read this auction, and not only can we read this in the current and just recent historical market, we can zoom out and you can use your dome on much higher time frames. Okay, so you can filter the market with different settings here for the heat map, and you can start to read these areas here. Well, look at the high liquidity here. Okay, at this 40 or 34 area, at 40, and then up here at 48. And look how we traded through this area and came up, and these guys had been in the book for quite a while here at 39, and then up here at 44. All right, and now they're bidding up here underneath as well at 42, 43. Right, we're starting to understand the auction currently and historically, and we can start to piece together, what happened exactly, precisely. So, for example, this high liquidity that we saw up here. Okay, well, what happened with it? It was looked like they had the intent to trade here. Actually, they didn't. Here's our answer. This is what it looks like when they start to pull liquidity. Okay, some of it traded right in this little area here, where the color, the bright color, meets these transactions. Okay, but this is what it looks like when they're pulling. Okay, and then here's a nice little book sweep. This is one of the primary educational elements that we go through, is just to understand basic market mechanics and how important they are. This is a book sweep. Okay, the larger player came in and just swept the book higher. Okay, there's a little bit of selling in here, but the majority of it by far is buying right up into this high liquidity here. Now, let's answer the question here. Did they have the intent to trade at 41? Answer is absolutely. Okay, transactions taking place right into that high liquidity. Okay, so the sellers up here providing liquidity at this level at 41, they're getting filled. Right, so we know that. That's fact. Right, and it actually absorbed all of that buying for a bit, for just a bit. As you can see, it didn't go higher through, and it just kind of went sideways for a bit, and then the buyers stepped right back in here. Okay, so making a distinction between those that really have the intent to trade and stay in the book and get filled, and those that don't and they pull. Okay, now we know. So you can start to understand larger players may be absorbing on the way up here. Now, you know, these guys, maybe they're flipping out and it led to a stop hunt as well. But a lot of times what we'll see is like absorption on the way up, on the way up, on the way up. And then we see a change in the order flow. It just absorbs all of the buyers. And then you get some sort of reversal pattern up here. And we may start to see that right now. We're not able to make a higher high. Okay? We see more sellers. Look at the cluster of selling down here. Okay, well, look previously. What did it look like at some of these levels? We don't see clusters of sellers down here at these areas. In fact, we see clusters of buyers at higher highs. Okay, so this is the potential here for a possible order flow shift. Now we're still bullish here. We haven't made below the swing here, we're kind of going back and forth right now, and looking for actually a test back up into these higher areas, or at least to see what happens here in the order flow. Okay, are they going to start to exhaust out on the buy side? Are they going to make a lower high, or are they going to make a higher high? How are they starting to behave in the book? Okay, what kind of insights can we get by the order book? Well, let's start to take a look. Okay, well, they're starting to they're still kind of hanging out up here at 48, starting to show a little bit in front, here's a little bit of exhaustion on the buy side. So sellers just taking command right now, and let's see if we can get back down into this cluster, maybe test 43 at the moment, because that's where the liquidity is. Okay, and let's see if we can even get further down below the swing here, because of this big cluster of selling. So price discovery to the downside. Okay, now look at the order book though. Look how they're front running. They're layering in and right in front of this higher liquidity here. Okay, this is bullish. They want to buy. They're climbing over each other to front run and show try to get filled at some of these areas. Okay, now we'll get our true answer here when we come back down and trade and test these guys and see if they pull or add. But right now, this is like showing up at any auction or showing up at like a farmer's market, and there's a lot of buyers and they want to buy down here. Okay, prices, the sellers aren't willing to sell to them right now. Okay, they're going to wait maybe for prices to go higher and then sell. All right, so really starting to understand this, not by some sort of mathematical equation or some sort of indicator, but starting to understand it as an auction, starting to understand it as intent of traders. Look at this here. We just got a skew in the book with very high liquidity here. Okay, and look at the reaction to it. Okay, so let's see if these guys get tested though, because it looks pretty good now for not coming down to this area. This guy just popped into the book and we see buyers. So let's see if we can come back up and test now 48. Okay, very dynamic. It just occurred, and we need a few more buyers to step in to get up to 48. Now, that would be scenario one. Scenario two is we might find sellers take these guys on at 45.5. We're going to get a lot of insight if they do, and if they stay in that book. Okay, that would be scenario two. And looks like scenario one is playing out here. Okay, we exhausted out here on the sell side. These little points here, there's no selling here, and the buyers came right back in. Okay, now this leads to understanding that look at this guy pulled actually here, and then added higher. Okay, and how do I know that? How do I know that this is most likely the same player? Well, here's high liquidity here, and then look where he pulled. Okay, here, and look where he added up here. So right at the same time he pulled, he added higher. So most likely, high probability, this is the same player. Okay, now we're testing 48 right into it. Okay, and they're staying in the book. All right, so there's a good little sequence there in understanding some of the order flow, intent of traders, reactions to high liquidity in an auction. And this kind of, even when we were zoomed out here, we saw the bullish activity here. So it's leading to continuation to the upside right now. Okay, but you know, we still remain bullish here, but we're starting to note some other things too. Starting to note some absorption at some of these levels here, and let's see if they absorbed at 48 or did they pull. Okay, well, look, here is our answer. I mean, they stayed right in the book, no question about it. And look at the transactions that took place though. Okay, and there's quite a few here. Well, only 84. That's actually not much for the S&P. But overall here, yeah, and we're starting to understand that. Well, and this is a pretty big transaction here. Okay, 671 contracts traded. Okay, and look what happened here. Okay, nice cluster of volume. Okay, but we didn't go higher. They didn't sweep higher into 49 or 50 here. Okay, now they're starting to show some interest again at 48, and now we're starting to see like well, the breakouts aren't occurring as high or as fast as they did earlier. Okay, at these higher price levels. So really starting to put it together here. Now let's see if they sweep that book here. It looks like they just pulled at 48. So let's see if the buyers want to sweep it up into 49 and 50. Okay. What we can see up here at 48 though, we had one test and another test here, and we had very little volume start to trade. Okay, so at this point, you know, remain kind of skeptical on the bull side, and looking for a little more insight here. Okay, if we're going to start to exhaust out here, we're going to find some sellers, and they're going to hit the bid, and they're going to drive it into this 45.5. Okay. Let's see if we get our move into 45.5. Anyway, you know what? I've got to end the webinar here. I've got the link for you if you arrived late. Here it is again, and so you're invited to register for the next webinar, and it starts in just a minute. And we'll go through the advanced order flow analysis. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. Have a if you don't follow up in the next webinar, have a good weekend, and we'll catch up with you later. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.